Hello and welcome back to the channel. In the previous video, we implemented the delete request to our Express server. In this video, we're going to be looking at tools we can use to test the delete request and other communications with our server. So the first tool we'll be looking at is Postman. If you're using VS Code, you can simply install the extension. Another option is to download their desktop application. In this video, we're going to be looking at the extension. So we're going to open the extensions tab and we're going to search for Postman. And we're going to install the first extension. Once the installation is finished, you can see a new icon to the left of your screen, which is going to be the Postman icon. So we can open this. So when you open this extension, it's going to ask you to sign in. So you're going to create an account if you don't have one already, and you're going to return back to VS Code. Once you've signed in, this should be what you see when you open the Postman icon. And before we get started, we need to actually start our server. So we're going to open our terminal and we're going to navigate to our Express folder and we're going to run npm run dev. Once our server has started, we can start sending HTTP requests. So we're going to press on the new HTTP request button. And in here, we can put in the URL of our server. So the first thing we're going to test is the GET request. So we're going to put in http://localhost:3001/API/notes. And we're going to click on send. As you can see, we get a response that contains all our notes. So that is the GET request. We can also use the GET request to get a single note. So we can add /2, for example, and press enter. As you can see, the response is the note with the ID of 2. And let's say we want to access a note that doesn't exist. So we're going to use 4 and press enter. As you can see, we get a status of 404 not found. Now, what we really want to test here is the delete request. So first, let's look at the different notes that we have. So we have 3 different notes. So let's say we want to delete the note with an ID of 3. What we need to do is change the request from get to delete, and we're going to pass in a specific ID. So we're going to pass in 3 and press enter. As you can see, we get a status code of 204, no content. And now if we were to get a list of all our notes using the GET request, you can see that the third note no longer exists. So this is how you use the Postman tool to test different requests to your server. The second tool that we're going to be looking at is VS Code specific, and it's called the VS Code REST client. So in order to install it, we're going to head back to the extensions tab and we're going to search for REST client. And you're going to install the first extension that you see. I've already installed this extension. So once the extension is installed, we're going to head back to our Express folder. And in here, we're going to create a new folder called requests. And inside this folder, we're going to have different files. So the first, we're going to call it get all notes, and it's going to have an extension of .rest. We're going to create another file called get single note. Again, it's going to have the REST extension. And finally, we're going to create a file called delete note with the REST extension. So first, we're going to test the get all notes. In here, what we need to do is simply type in get, and we're going to put in the link to our server, which is http localhost 3001 API/notes. And what we need to do is press on the send request button. As you can see, we get the following response, which is a list of all our notes. Since we deleted the third note, it is no longer shown. The next thing we can do is get a single note. In order to do that, we're going to use the get request again, and we're going to pass in a specific ID. So let's pass in 1, and we're going to send request. As you can see, we get the note with an ID of 1. And the final thing we want to test is the delete functionality. So we're going to have a request of type delete, and we're going to pass in the link to our server. And we're going to give it a specific ID. Let's say we want to delete the note with an ID of 1. And we can simply send request. And we get a response of no content. And now if we go back to our get all notes file and send the request again, we can see that the note with an ID of 1 no longer exists. It has been deleted. So this has been a lesson on using the Postman and the VScode REST client tools. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel to show your support.